Hare Krishna. Welcome to the brand new episode of Transcendental Thursday. Today we're going to discuss about Sunita Williams and Wilt Morris back again to Earth from the International Space Station. Life lessons, understandings from their experience from the crystal perspective based on the teachings of Swami Srila Prabhupada. 9 months later, again after 9 months. Before that, let us pray to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A profound and a thoughtful comparison between the 9 months spent in space by astronaut Sunita Williams can be meaningfully juxtaposed with the 9 months in the mother's womb as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, particularly in between the canto chapters of 30 and 31, where Kapila Muni gives a detailed account of the embryonic condition of the soul. From the Vedic perspective, this comparison offers both a philosophical insight and a symbolical resonance. It's not symbolical, but nevertheless, highlighting the themes of confinement, vulnerability, and self-awareness and transformation what the child feels in the womb of the mother. Just like Sunita Williams, her thought process, his companion's thought process. I'll by and large explore 5 points of comparison between this 2 9-month period from the lens of Srimad Bhagavatam. Let us start discussing about this. First and foremost is confinement and dependency. Now, confinement in the space, confinement in the womb. Dependency on the technology and dependency on the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 31st chapter, 1 to 3 sloka. The soul in the womb is described as being tightly packed, unable to move, and completely dependent on the mother's body for sustenance. Karmaja deha yogena jiva shukshmendra vibhuhu liyate antarhri brahman bijani anyani sanatanaha. That's what they say. By karma, the living entity is confined in the womb, packed within the embryo. Similarly, in the space, though the astronaut is free from gravity, she is also enclosed within the spacecraft, dependent on the external system for air, food, survival. Much like the living entity depends on the womb. In the womb, it depends on the mothers. So, insight from both these settings depict the jiva, living entities, in a condition or a state of a limited freedom. It emphasizes the vulnerability and the need of external support, either from the material nature or technological advancement. You have to be dependent. Once you come up out, then it's a different thing altogether. Your sufferings continues, but we forget that. That's a problem with all of us. Second point I would like to reflect upon is the consciousness and the reflection about it. 3rd canto and 31st chapter, 20th to 23rd verse of the embryonic soul becomes self-aware. Let's start recollecting the past life and praise for deliverance. Krishna, help me or get me out of this place. There's a verse to that instance. Daivat katam chi janinam prapadde jiva swayam tadgatam anyadrashra. This is the most important point. By the divine arrangement of the Lord, the soul begins to realize, being in the womb, and prays intensely for freedom. That's a very precarious condition the soul goes through. Similarly, the space, during the isolation in space, astronauts often report deep introspection, contemplation on existence, heightened awareness of the fragility of life. And even Sunita Williams herself spoke about Bhagavad Gita, spiritual awareness, and the awe for the cosmos. And she had her copy of Gita in the space where she would refer it in spare time and would reflect upon those inner reflections, connecting the soul, understanding the purpose of life. These questions of identity, purpose, and the whole is a speck And it especially parallel conditions of both awareness of the soul awakening in the womb, and this lady who has the origins from Gujarat because of its connection with the earth, and especially the Indian culture. Third would be transition and birth, womb. Birth is seen as liberation from the womb. It also start off a new entanglement. The soul prays to remember the Lord post birth. She promises, but due to the material contact, forgets. मेरा बेटा इंजीनियर बनेगा, मेरा बेटा वो बनेगा, मेरा बेटा वो ये करेगा. दुर्जन्य विसक्त चित्तः, दुर्जन्य विसक्त चित्तः. Desiring liberation, the soul prays to remember the Lord's lotus feet upon birth. But because of the entanglement, they forget. Similarly, the space, so parallel comparison, re-entry into the earth is symbolic to rebirth after enduring isolation, and the return is often seen as a renewed appreciation for life. It can be seen as rebirth into awareness, akin to soul's emergence from the mother's womb. Now, the inside what we can parallelly draw is both involve a transition from a confinement to freedom, carrying the potential for both transformation and renewal of consciousness, whether mental or spiritual. But unfortunately, once the child is born, it completely forgets the purpose and the goal of life, and forgets the promise, and gets into entanglement unless it comes in touch with a bona fide spiritual master to once again revive that consciousness. Now, the fourth point, while drawing comparison, I was thinking about time and space. Womb, time in the womb is distorted. The jiva cannot perceive time as we do, living entity, the baby in the womb. Life is experienced internally, and external space is irrelevant. Recently, the video was going viral about that. The two kids talking inside. But in space, astronauts experience altered time perception, rapid sunrise and sunsets, and sense of vastness. Paradoxically, they are physically in vast space, yet personally confined. So the insight from both the experience is basically disrupt the normal perception of time and space, drawing attention to the relativity of this material existence. A very important theme in Bhagavatam cosmology, which people don't know about it. It's just a speck what we are saying here. It's multiple universes, which we'll discuss in some other session in the future. And the fifth most important aspect, which I want to draw to compare, is the realization of the Lord's presence. In the womb, in the third canto, the same chapter, the Paramatma is present with the Jiva in the womb, witnessing all. Anumanta Upadrashta. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yat tad vishuddham kevalam ananda matram samvit prakasham param arakavastu. This is what Kapila Muni says in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Super soul illuminates the heart even in the womb. Just like Parikshit Maharaj had darshan of the Lord in the womb. Similarly, the fortunators, spirit soul has also a darshan of the Lord and prays also. In the vast cosmic arena, in space, the astronaut is in proximity to the macrocosmic manifestation of the Lord's creation. For a spiritually inclined person, the awareness of divine arrangement becomes vivid, just like for Sudhita Williams, because she was in touch with the Bhagavad Gita teachings. Now, the insight is both the conditions, womb and the space, present us an opportunity to perceive the Lord's presence, either as Paramatma within or as Vishwarupa without. We know that Arjuna saw the Vishwarupa according to Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter, the whole things are discussed. And the astronauts, especially Sunita or anyone who is in the space station, can see the cosmic manifestation of that scale. Concluding reflection is the journey of the soul in both the womb and in the space. Jiva is transmigrating from one species to another species, from up and down. But you have to depend on the higher forces. That force is controlled by the forceful, the person, the Supreme Lord. Opportunities for reflection, you contemplate, and you should prepare for the transition, either birth into a new life or return to whatever. This is what I just want to put it across in simple words. From the Bhagavatam perspective, 9 months can be symbolic to the soul's entanglement in the metal nature and the potential for the enlightenment, whether through prayer in the womb or awe in the cosmos. But at the end of the day, you have to work on your consciousness. The consciousness is what matters. So with this short discourse on the comparisons of the child in the womb and the 9 months of stay of this astronaut who was stuck in this International Space Station, this is what I just wanted to draw your attention to. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.